Hello you lovely lot, welcome to a new video. Today I have some fan art, which is fan art for my favourite game of all time, Grandia, and I did tease some Grandia fan art a little while back that I was working on, which was a much bigger illustration, but obviously this is not that one. That is still not finished, unfortunately. But this one is for actually a Twitter event that was going on, and Gung Ho, who are one of the publishers of Grandia, they were doing an event to celebrate the release of the HD remaster in Japan, and you could submit your favourite memories of Grandia in the form of a Twitter post, and you'd be entered into a draw to win some prizes. And basically you could just make a text post, or you could take a screenshot of your favourite moment or whatever, but because I apparently like to give myself too much work to do, I decided to try and do a screenshot redraw. Now in the end it didn't end up looking like a screenshot redraw because it's not the right sort of image dimensions, and it doesn't have like a subtitle or caption or anything that generally would make it look like a screenshot redraw. It just ended up being a scene redraw, or just an illustration in the end. But I'm still happy with how it turned out, even though I would still like to try doing a screenshot effect illustration at some point, but I think I'd probably prefer to do that with my OCs. So for anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about, Grandia is a JRPG that first came out on the Sega Saturn in 1997. It then came out on the PS1 later, and last year it had an HD remaster on the Switch. And I first played it when I was about 12, I think. I borrowed it from a school friend and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I was absolutely enchanted by this story and the world that it was set in. And it took me a few years to find a copy of the game for myself because I didn't have internet access back then, and when I finally did, a copy of Grandia was actually the first thing that I ever bought online. And then I just played it so much, and I've said before, I'm not a massive gamer. I don't tend to put a lot of hours into games, at least I didn't regularly until Animal Crossing came along. But yeah, generally I don't tend to play games very much. I do enjoy them, but I'm just horrible at them, and I'm very bad at sitting down and playing a game for fun without feeling guilty about it. But I just genuinely love this game so much. It is my comfort game, and I will always go back to it when I don't know what else to play. And it's just like a welcoming hug because it just takes me back to my childhood. It's so nostalgic. And basically, Grandia is about a young boy called Justin who wants to be an adventurer, and he has a relic called the Spirit Stone that was left to him from his dad, and he wants to go off and explore the world and discover new things just like his dad did. And the story starts off very simple, you know, with the old JRPG tropes where everything is full of innocence and naivety, and any challenges at the beginning are very small. So the game starts off with Justin and his friend Sue trying to find some different items around their town that their sort of rivals have hidden for them to find. So it's just literally children playing at the start of the game. And then through the course of the story, sort of different opportunities open for them to explore different places, and they discover stories of an ancient civilization and they begin to pursue that, and everything kind of develops from there. So this illustration is from a cutscene which is quite early on in the game, and I won't give away too much in case anyone wants to play it, but basically Justin and Sue have ventured into a place called the Salt Ruins and discovered a sort of holographic image of this woman called Liette, and she shows them a vision of this civilization that they didn't really believe was real. And in this particular scene, she's telling them, don't be afraid, this is the land you live in as seen from the height of the stars. And just, I remember being absolutely enthralled by this scene, because then it goes on to a cutscene of this civilization. And it just wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before, and the genre that Grandia is in, I would say it's got steampunk elements, because the first town that you see, which is where Justin and Sue live, has a very strong industrial influence. But then there's sort of your traditional high fantasy, and the architecture and the ruins that you explore as you go, they have a lot of different influences. I'm not an expert, but to me they remind me of kind of Mayan or Aztec architecture in a way. And I just really love this combination of influences, and just the setting of Grandia is not like anything else that I had seen before. And that was literally the thing that sparked in the back of my mind that maybe I should switch the genre of the projects that I was working on from high fantasy to steampunk influenced, so that I could bring in this different technology and different elements to my world and my setting. So there's this combination of fantasy, magic, trains, airships, you've got ancient civilizations with this technology that's been lost to time, and I'm just so into all of that stuff and combining it into one story. So I would say that it's not an exaggeration to say that Grandia has had an influence on almost everything I've made right up to this day. Like, right now I'm working on my own D&D campaign, and there are elements of my setting that are influenced by those parts of Grandia that I absolutely fell in love with when I was a kid. There's also something about it that, I don't use this word very often, but there's something that's quite charming about Grandia. It's got this streak of optimism running through it, and this feeling of hope, despite, even when things get dark, there's always hope, and that's shown in Justin's sort of relentless optimism. And the characters are just wonderful. I also really love Fina. Just the whole cast of characters is so good, and they really draw you into the story. If you're looking for something to occupy you and you want something with a lot of hours of content, something that's very uplifting and very absorbing, I would recommend checking it out. It does have a Switch release, but it's a lot more expensive than the original version, which is on PlayStation Network, and I don't know about anywhere else, but on the UK store you can get it for about £6 something. So it's a pretty good deal to get the original version. I sound like an advert, but honestly, I just think this game still remains a little bit of an undiscovered gem, and yeah, I'm just very enthusiastic about it, and I would love it if more people played it, because that would be really self-indulgent of me so I could chat to people about it. Yeah, so this took me around 4 hours because, like I said, it was something I decided to do when I had a lot of other work on, so I did this pretty quickly. So if you look really close, there are some messy areas, so I didn't post a crop on my social media, but I'm pretty happy with how I've kind of managed to streamline my process over the years and get to a point where I can make something that I'm happy with in that time, even though I know that I could have done more to it. I used a stock image for the planet because I tried to draw the planet, but I really needed to get it finished, and I just couldn't get it looking like a planet, and it just wasn't going right, so I used a royalty-free stock image for that. But in the future I definitely want to improve on that. It's just something that I took as a little bit of a shortcut at the time, and that's something else that I've been learning over time, is what areas of my work I can afford to cut down the time spent on. And that's especially important as an illustrator when you're working out how much to charge for your time and how long a project will take you. Figuring out the areas that you can afford to put less time and work into is really, really important. Do any of you have a favourite sort of comfort game that you always go back to, or something that makes you feel maybe nostalgic or perhaps safe or uplifted? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear. I really hope you like watching the process, even if you don't know anything about Grandia and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. So thank you for watching, I really hope you like it, and I will see you next time. Bye!